All right, adventurers, get those boots laced up tight because this month on the deep dive,
Yeah.
we're running for the border in the world of Greyhawk
Right.
with the classic adventure Borderwatch.
Classic.
But before we jump into this powder keg of a module,
Right.
if you are enjoying the show, please hit that like button, subscribe to this channel,
Yes.
and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming Greyhawk deep dives.
Yeah.
Be sure to check the video description below for a PDF copy of the Borderwatch module
Oh, yeah. Great point.
so you can follow along.
I always like to have that open when I'm listening to these kinds of shows.
Absolutely.
So,
For sure.
what I find really interesting about Borderwatch is the way it captures the immediate aftermath of a major conflict in Greyhawk.
Yeah.
We're not talking ancient history here.
Right.
But the fresh wounds of Furiandi's recent conquest.
Right.
It's a powder keg scenario.
Yeah.
And Great Wall, our starting town, is right on the front lines. Transformed from a sleepy farming village
Right.
into this tense, heavily fortified border town.
Yeah, even the name Great Wall just screams trouble brewing. Right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And for our player characters, or PCs,
Yeah.
that trouble starts brewing in the town's only tavern,
Uh-oh.
the Behir and the Ibex.
I love that name.
Yeah.
Such a
Isn't that great?
Greyhawk name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So evocative.
Totally.
Imagine you're sitting there enjoying a pint after a long day when suddenly Sergeant Krager,
Oh, boy.
captain of the guard, bursts in
Oh.
with a seemingly urgent mission.
All right, so this is where the layers of intrigue start to unfold.
Okay.
Because Krager, as we learn later,
Yeah.
is actually working for an agent of Ease's.
Oh, no.
Big, bad, evil guy
Right.
in this part of Greyhawk.
Yeah.
He's not exactly who he appears to be.
Right.
He presents the seemingly simple task. Escort a caravan of 3 merchants,
Okay.
Malin Emerald and Jasmulus,
Okay.
to a remote fort called Fort Belvoir. He makes it sound like a vital supply run, essential for the defense of Great Wall.
Right.
Straightforward, right?
Well, you know what they say? Never trust a smiling villain.
That's right.
And in classic D&D fashion, nothing is ever as simple as it seems.
Oh, no.
One of these merchants, Jasmulus, is not a merchant at all.
Oh.
He's actually a spy working for IDs.
Oh, wow.
And his cargo is far more dangerous than mere trade goods.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's carrying a secret book filled with crucial information
Right.
that needs to reach Ayusa's forces.
Okay.
So right off the bat, you have this ticking time bomb scenario.
Uh-oh.
The PCs are set on this seemingly routine mission,
Right.
completely unaware that they're aiding the enemy.
Yeah.
It's a great hook for DMs who want to run Borderwatch
Yeah.
because it introduces that element of paranoia and mistrust
Oh, yeah, for sure.
right from the beginning.
Right away.
Yeah.
Talk about a trust exercise, right? You're literally traveling with the enemy.
Right.
And speaking of the traveling companions,
Yeah.
we've got these 3 merchants.
Okay.
Malin, the grizzled veteran who's all about profit.
Okay.
Emerald, the ambitious up-and-comer trying to prove herself in this cutthroat world.
All right.
And then you have Jasmulus, this seemingly harmless scholar,
Oh, yeah.
hiding his true allegiance.
Right.
What are some of the ways DMs can use these personalities to create interesting challenges for their players?
Well, think about the role-playing possibilities here.
Yeah.
Malin and Emerald are already set up for some interesting conflict.
Oh,
Maybe Malin underestimates Emerald's business acumen.
right.
Or perhaps Emerald sees Malin as a relic of the old ways,
Yeah.
stuck in his routine.
Stuck in his ways, yeah.
And then you have Jasmulus, who needs to maintain this facade of being a harmless scholar
Right.
while secretly trying to sabotage the mission
Wow.
or get messages to Iruz's forces.
Oh, man. I can already imagine the tension at the table.
Yeah.
Maybe the PCs start noticing Jasmulus acting suspiciously. Or maybe they find a hidden message or coded journal entry.
Oh, yeah.
That's the beauty of a module like this.
Right.
It's not just about combat encounters.
Yeah.
It's about those moments of intrigue and discovery,
Right.
about giving players those aha moments when they piece things together.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, all of this is taking place against the backdrop of this war-torn region.
Right.
Resources are scarce,
Yeah.
tensions are high,
Right.
and every decision carries weight.
Yeah.
For DMs running Borderwatch in a 5th edition game,
Yeah.
you can really lean into those survival elements. How do
Yeah.
the PCs secure supplies?
Right.
How do they navigate the dangers of a region ravaged by war?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our PCs.
Right.
They're dubious companions.
Yeah.
and this ticking time bomb of a mission.
Uh-oh.
They set out from Great Wall on this old disused road,
Okay.
which already sets the scene for trouble.
Yeah.
The module describes it as overgrown, barely passable.
Right.
What happens next?
Well, it doesn't take long for things to go sideways.
Uh-oh.
They're ambushed by orcs.
Oh, no.
And it's not just a simple attack either.
Oh, wow.
The module describes a clever trap
Okay.
using a lone orc as bait
Oh, my goodness.
to lure the PCs into a hidden pit.
Wow.
It plays on their assumptions
Yeah.
and their desire to protect the caravan.
Ooh, sneaky. I love it.
Yeah.
This is where the tactical thinking really comes into play.
Right.
If the PCs aren't careful, they could fall right into the orc's trap.
Yeah.
They need to assess the situation,
Yeah.
look for signs of an ambush,
Right.
and be prepared for anything.
For sure.
This first encounter is a great example of how Borderwatch doesn't hold back.
It's a reminder that even in a seemingly simple escort mission,
Right.
danger can lurk around every corner.
Yeah.
And speaking of corners, the module throws in some interesting random encounters
Does it?
to spice things up along the journey.
Yeah.
It could be anything from wandering monsters to helpful NPCs who might offer clues or assistance.
Ooh, I love helpful NPCs.
Me too.
Speaking of helpful, wouldn't it be amazing if there was an NPC
Oh, yeah.
who could somehow tip off the PCs
Oh,
about Jasmolus's true identity?
interesting.
I'm already thinking about how I would run this in my own campaign.
One particularly interesting encounter the module suggests
Yeah.
is with a ranger named Sarah Jean
Okay.
and her adopted lizard folk children.
Lizard folk children.
Yeah.
Now, that's a family dynamic you don't see every day.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It immediately sparks the imagination.
Yeah.
Maybe Sarah Jean has some knowledge of the region?
Right.
Maybe she's encountered Jasmolus before?
Okay.
Or perhaps her lizard folk children have a unique way of sensing deception.
Wow.
It's an opportunity for some really fun role-playing
Yeah.
and maybe even a little comic relief.
Ooh, and think about this. The module mentions that Sarah Jean and her lizard folk family
Yeah.
live in a cabin,
Yeah.
not far from a likely ambush spot. Talk about foreshadowing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's those little details that make Borderwatch so engaging.
Exactly. It's almost like the module is saying, hey, DM, here's a cool element. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I appreciate about these older modules.
Oh, yeah.
They provide a solid framework,
Yeah.
but they leave plenty of room for the DM
Right.
to add their own twists and turns to
Yeah.
customize the adventure
Sure.
to their players and their campaign setting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our heroes have survived their first ambush,
Right.
maybe had a run-in with some giant rats,
You.
and possibly even met a family of lizard folk.
Yeah.
They're getting closer to Fort Belvoir.
Oh, okay.
But remember, this fort has seen better days.
Uh,
It's been left in a pretty rough shape after the war.
oh, no.
What kind of welcome can they expect?
Well, let's just say the fort's commander, Melkinus, is a man who's seen his share of hardship and betrayal.
Oh, boy.
He's not quick to trust anyone,
All
and
right.
he's got his own secrets.
Ooh, secrets on top of secrets.
Yeah.
This is getting good.
I know.
What kind of secrets are we talking about here?
Let's just say Melkinus is involved in a conspiracy,
Oh.
but this one is against IUs.
Wait, hold on. So we've got Krager secretly working for IUs,
Right.
Jasmolus sneaking a secret book to the enemy,
Yeah.
and now we've got Melkinus, the fort's commander, plotting against IUs.
Yeah.
It's like a tangled web of allegiances and hidden agendas.
Welcome to Greyhawk.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a setting where alliances shift like the desert sands,
Wow.
and nothing is ever black and white.
That's for sure.
And Borderwatch captures that perfectly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that in D&D, just like in real life,
Yeah.
motivations are complex,
Right.
and everyone has their own agenda.
I'm loving this already. But before we get too deep into those tangled webs,
Okay.
let's take a quick break.
All right.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Borderwatch action.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into Borderwatch. When we left off, our heroes were approaching Fort Belvoir, unaware of the tangled web of conspiracies awaiting them.
And just to recap, we've got Sergeant Krager sending the PCs on this mission under false pretenses.
Right.
We've got Jasmolus, the merchant spy, trying to get a secret book to Ius's forces.
Right.
And now we've got Melkias, the fort's commander, involved in his own plot against Ius.
It's a powder keg, and things are about to get really explosive.
Oh, boy.
The module doesn't explicitly state whether Melkinus knows about Jasmolus.
Okay.
which creates some fascinating opportunities for DMs.
Yeah.
Do you reveal Milkinus's secret to the players right away?
Right.
Do they have to piece it together themselves?
Right.
Or maybe they only discover it later, leading to a shocking betrayal.
Ooh, the drama. I love those oh-snap moments when players realize they've been played.
And remember, all of this is happening against the backdrop of a region still reeling from the war.
Yeah.
Fort Belvoir itself is a testament to that. It's described as being in a dilapidated state.
Yeah.
Undermanned, undersupplied.
It's a visual reminder of the cost of war, even in a fantasy setting.
Right.
And it creates a sense of vulnerability,
Yeah.
a sense that nowhere is truly safe.
Exactly. Now, as the PCs settle in for the night at Fort Belvoir,
Yeah.
thinking they've reached a moment of respite,
Okay.
they're in for a rude awakening.
Oh, no.
Because under the cover of darkness, EUs launches a full-on assault on the fort.
Talk about adding insult to injury.
Yeah.
Not only are they caught in the middle of these competing conspiracies,
Right.
but now they have to defend a crumbling fort against an army of EU's minions.
I know.
What kind of encounter are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Is it just a small raiding party, or are we talking a full-blown siege?
The module describes a chaotic scene
Yeah.
with catapults bombarding the walls,
Oh,
orcs and goblins swarming the ramparts, a real sense of desperation.
wow.
It's a fantastic opportunity for DMs to really lean into the tactical combat of 5th edition D&D. You've got ranged attacks cover, flanking maneuvers, the works.
And don't forget about Jasmulus.
Oh, right!
Amidst all this chaos, he's still trying to fulfill his mission.
Yeah,
He needs to get that book to ECU's forces.
right.
And this siege might be the perfect opportunity.
Exactly. The module suggests that Jasmulus has arranged to meet with an agent named Jadero
Okay.
during the attack.
Okay.
Imagine the tension as the PCs are fighting for their lives, desperately trying to hold the fort,
Yeah.
while Jasmulus is sneaking around trying to betray them.
It's a classic enemies both within and without scenario.
Totally.
And it creates some really interesting moral dilemmas for the players.
Yeah.
Do they trust Milkinus?
Right.
Do they confront Jasmulus?
Right.
Do they try to play both sides?
It's a recipe for some really great role-playing moments.
Yeah.
And the outcome of the siege can have a major impact on the rest of the adventure.
Right.
What if the fort falls?
Right.
What if Milcranus is killed?
Right.
What if Jasmulus escapes with the book?
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Borderwatch so engaging.
Right.
It's not just a linear adventure, it's a branching narrative
Yeah.
where player choices have real consequences.
Now let's assume for the sake of argument
Right.
that the PCs successfully defend Fort Belvoir.
Okay.
They've repelled the attackers, but their mission isn't over.
Right.
They still need to deliver those supplies to Barduke.
Right. And they're under a time crunch too.
Oh, yeah.
Winter is coming, and those supplies are desperately needed.
Right.
Plus, who knows what other dangers might be lurking on the road ahead.
The module continues to ratchet up the tension with another ambush,
Oh, no.
this time at the Crystal River.
Okay.
This encounter highlights the importance of terrain and strategy in combat.
I'm all ears.
Yeah.
How does the module suggest running this encounter?
Well, the orcs have the high ground here.
Okay.
They're positioned on a slope overlooking the river crossing,
Oh, wow.
giving them a clear advantage in ranged combat.
So the PCs can't just charge in blindly.
Right.
They need to think tactically. Do they try to flank the orcs?
You're right.
Do they use the river to their advantage?
Right.
Do they try to negotiate?
It's a great opportunity for players to show off their creative problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
And for DMs running this in 5th edition, you can really play up the environmental hazards.
Okay.
Maybe the river is fast-flowing, creating difficult terrain.
Yeah.
Maybe there are hidden eddies or treacherous currents.
You could even throw in some aquatic monsters for good measure.
Yeah.
I mean, what's a river crossing without a giant crocodile or two?
Exactly. It's all about creating a dynamic and memorable encounter.
Yeah.
And Borderwatch gives you the tools to do just that.
Okay, so our heroes have braved ambushes, fought off orcs, maybe even outwitted a few traps.
All right.
They're finally approaching Barduke, the last stop on their journey.
Okay.
What kind of town is Barduke?
Well, it's a far cry from the bustling Great Wall.
Okay.
The module describes Barduke as a former mining town that's fallen into disrepair.
Okay.
Many of the buildings are abandoned. The streets are deserted. It's a town that's seen better days.
It's almost like a microcosm of Furiondi itself, struggling to recover from the war.
Right.
And for players who are really into the lore of Greyhawk,
Yeah.
this is a great opportunity to delve into the history of the region.
Right.
What happened to Barduke?
Right.
Why did the mines close?
Yeah.
What are the people's hopes and fears?
It adds a layer of depth to the adventure,
Yeah.
going beyond just the immediate mission.
Yeah.
And despite its dilapidated state, Barduk still has a few key locations
Okay.
that are important to the story.
Okay.
There's Fort Critwall,
Okay.
a rundown stronghold that serves as the town's main defense.
Right.
Then there's the Bloody Axe Inn, the only tavern in town,
Ooh.
where the PCs are sure to encounter some colorful characters.
Okay.
And finally, there's the Cracks and Mines office,
Right.
a reminder of the town's once thriving mining industry.
Oh, the Bloody Axe Inn. I can already smell the stale ale and hear the tales of daring adventure.
Me too.
What kind of NPCs might our heroes encounter there?
Well, the module mentions a dwarf bartender named Boric, who's known for his gruff demeanor and his encyclopedic knowledge of the region.
Oh.
And then there's Fracas the blacksmith, who's always looking for a good story and a willing ear.
I can see the scene now.
Mm-hmm.
Our weary heroes huddled around a table in the dimly lit tavern,
Yeah.
sharing stories and gathering information.
Yeah.
And all the while, Jasmulus is lurking in the shadows, waiting for his chance to make contact with Jotaro.
And it's here at the Bloody Axe Inn that Jasmulus finally fulfills his mission.
Oh, no.
He delivers the secret book to Jotaro, completing his betrayal.
But for the PCs, this is just the beginning of a whole new chapter in the adventure.
Great.
Wait a minute, he delivers the book,
Yeah.
but their mission was to deliver the supplies to you.
Oh, no. They've been duped.
Exactly, and this is where Borderwatch really throws a curveball at the players.
Right.
They've been so focused on protecting the caravan, fighting off ambushes, and surviving
Yeah.
that they've completely missed the bigger picture.
This is what I love about this module.
Yeah. It's not just about combat and dungeon crawling. It's about intrigue, deception, and those moments of shocking revelation.
Totally.
It's a reminder that in D&D, sometimes the greatest enemies are the ones you least expect.
And now the PCs have a new mission. Expose the conspiracy, recover the book, and stop Ezer's plans before it's too late.
Right, so a whole new mission.
But how do they even begin to do that? They're in a strange town surrounded by potential enemies, and they have no idea where to start.
This is where the DM gets to really flex their creative muscles.
Yeah.
What clues do they leave for the PCs?
Right.
Who can they trust?
Right.
What dangers lurk in the shadows of Barduk?
Well, the module does provide a few hints.
Okay.
It mentions that the abandoned crags and mines hold the key to unraveling the mystery.
Abandoned mines. You know what that means, right? Dungeon crawl time.
And Borderwatch delivers on that promise.
Okay.
The crags and mines are a sprawling complex filled with dangers,
Uh-oh.
from remnants of the former inhabitants to hostile creatures who have made it their lair.
And I bet there are some juicy secrets hidden within those mines.
Oh, yeah.
Secrets that could help the PCs turn the tide against Ayuz.
But that's a story for part 3 of our deep dive.
Don't miss the thrilling conclusion of our Borderwatch adventure, where we'll delve into the depths of the Cragson mines and face the forces of evil. Welcome back, fellow adventurers. It's time to conclude our deep dive into Borderwatch, and we're picking up right where we left off, at the edge of the abandoned Cragson mines.
Yeah, this is where Borderwatch really shifts gears.
Okay.
Transitioning from a tense caravan escort into a full-blown dungeon crawl.
Okay.
The crags and mines are described as this sprawling complex,
Yeah.
full of abandoned buildings,
Right.
crumbling tunnels, and all sorts of dangers lurking in the darkness.
Ooh. I could already feel the chills. Abandoned mines are like D&D gold.
Oh, for sure.
You've got that sense of isolation, the echoing darkness, the potential for hidden dangers around every corner.
Right.
What kind of encounters does the module suggest for this section?
Well, right off the bat, the module throws some classic D&D monsters at you.
Okay.
Giant centipedes infesting the old barracks.
Oh, no.
Swarms of giant rats lurking in the shadows.
Giant centipedes? Ick. I'm not a fan of creepy crawlies in real life,
Yeah,
and giant ones definitely wouldn't make my list of favorite dungeon encounters.
I hear you.
But you're right. It's a good reminder that not every threat has to be a cunning villain
Right.
or a powerful demon.
Right.
Sometimes it's the simple, primal dangers that can be the most unsettling.
Exactly. And Borderwatch doesn't just throw monsters at you.
Yeah.
It gives you a variety of locations within the mine complex,
Okay.
each with its own unique features and potential challenges.
Yeah.
You've got the main processing building where remnants of the mining operation still stand.
Right.
There's the smelter with its giant furnace,
Okay.
still radiating heat even after all these years.
Yeah.
And there's even an old church,
Oh.
now deserted and echoing with the ghosts of the past.
Ooh, a church. Now that's interesting.
Yep.
It makes you wonder about the people who once lived and worked in these mines.
Yeah.
What was their faith like? Did they have any special rituals or beliefs related to their work?
Right.
And more importantly, are there any holy relics left behind that could be useful to our heroes?
Right.
Or maybe even some clues about Eus's plans hidden in plain sight.
Those are great questions for players to consider as they explore the Cragson mines.
Yeah.
Remember, Borderwatch is all about uncovering a conspiracy.
Right?
The clues might be subtle, hidden in the details of these locations.
Yeah.
And for DMs, this is a fantastic opportunity to weave in some lore, some history,
Right.
to make the mines feel like a real place with a past.
I love those moments in D&D when you discover a piece of lore that just clicks everything into place.
Yeah.
It's like finding the missing piece of a puzzle.
Right.
So the PCs are exploring these abandoned buildings, they're fighting off giant bugs,
Right.
and maybe even finding some clues.
Yeah.
But how do they find the entrance to Eus's secret base?
Right.
Is it just sitting out in the open, or is it a little more cleverly concealed?
The module is intentionally vague on the specifics,
Okay.
giving the DM the freedom to create their own reveal.
Right.
But it does mention a hidden entrance, cleverly disguised and protected by traps.
Ah, traps. A classic dungeon crawl element.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost like a rite of passage for any D&D adventurer to trigger at least one trap on their journey.
Right.
What kind of traps are we talking about here? Anything particularly devious or deadly?
Well, the module mentions a particularly nasty trap involving a collapsing ceiling triggered by a pressure plate.
Oh, wow.
And there's another trap involving a pit filled with sharpened stakes,
Oh,
concealed beneath a false floor.
oh, those sound nasty.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder for players to always be on their guard,
Right.
to check for traps,
Right.
and to have a plan for dealing with them.
Right.
It's also a good opportunity for DMs to think about how they describe the traps.
Yeah.
To build suspense and create that sense of dread.
Right.
As the PCs cautiously navigate these treacherous tunnels.
Exactly. It's not just about the mechanics of the trap. It's
Right.
about the atmosphere, the tension, the fear of the unknown.
Right.
And Borderwatch does a great job of creating that atmosphere.
Okay, so let's say our heroes, after much searching, maybe even triggering a trap or two,
Right.
finally discover the entrance to the secret base.
Yeah.
What awaits them on the other side?
Well, it's not a welcome wagon and a plate of cookies.
Yeah.
The base is described as a labyrinthine complex,
Okay.
crawling with orcs, goblins, and even a few ogres for good measure.
Oh, wow.
It's clear that Amuse has invested a lot of resources in this secret operation.
This is where the tactical combat of 5th edition D&D really shines.
Oh, yeah.
You've got different enemy types, each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
You've got the close quarters combat of the tunnels,
Yeah.
and you've got the potential for ambushes and surprise attacks.
And don't forget about the psychological element.
Yeah.
The PCs know they're deep underground behind enemy lines.
Right. With no easy way out.
Yeah.
The pressure is on.
I can feel the tension already.
Yeah.
So the PCs are fighting their way through the base. They're taking on orcs and goblins,
Right.
and they're getting closer to the heart of Yokyu's operation.
Right.
What's the final encounter like? Is there a big boss battle? A terrifying demon lord to vanquish?
Well, in a bit of a twist, the final encounter isn't a combat-heavy showdown.
Oh, okay.
It's more about espionage and sabotage.
Yeah.
The module reveals that the ultimate goal of the secret base is to safeguard a set of detailed war plans,
Oh, wow.
outlining Ikyu's strategy for conquering the region.
So the real prize isn't the magical artifact or a powerful enemy.
Right.
It's information.
Yeah.
It's about preventing those plans from falling into the wrong hands.
Exactly. It's a clever way to shift the focus from brute force to
Yeah.
cunning and strategy.
Right.
And it raises the stakes even higher.
Yeah.
It's not just about defeating enemies, it's about protecting vital intelligence
Right.
that could determine the fate of Furiondi.
I love that.
Okay.
It's a reminder that in D&D, victory doesn't always come from swinging a sword.
Right.
Sometimes it's about using your wits, your skills, and your knowledge
Right.
to outmaneuver your opponents.
Right.
But I have to ask, if there's no big boss battle, who are the PCs fighting in this final encounter?
The module suggests that Eus has left behind a contingent of his most elite troops.
Okay.
Led by a cunning and ruthless orc war chief,
Okay.
they are the last line of defense, tasked with protecting those vital war plans at all costs.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
An epic showdown between our heroes and the elite forces of EUs with the fate of Furiondi hanging in the balance.
Right.
It's a fitting climax to this thrilling adventure.
It is, and it's a great example of how Borderwatch blends different types of challenges.
Yeah.
You've got the intrigue and deception of the early game,
Right.
the survival elements of the journey,
Right.
the tactical combat of the siege and the dungeon crawl, and then this final confrontation where the PCs need to use all of their skills and resources to succeed.
So let's say our heroes are victorious.
Right.
They defeat the Orc war chief, retrieve the war plans, and escape the collapsing mines.
Phew. Yeah.
What happens next? What's the fallout from this adventure?
Well, that's where Borderwatch leaves things open-ended, which is a brilliant move.
Okay.
It allows the DM to tie the adventure into their larger campaign,
Right.
to explore the consequences of the PC's actions,
Right.
and to set the stage for future conflicts.
It's almost like the end of a movie that leaves you wanting more. Right.
Right.
It sparks the imagination.
Yeah.
What happens to Krager?
Yeah.
Does Milkennis's conspiracy come to light?
Yeah.
And what about Jasmalus?
Right.
Does he face justice for his betrayal?
Those are all great questions that the DM and the players can explore together, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things I love about these classic D&D modules.
Yeah.
They're not just self-contained stories. They're springboards for countless adventures.
Right.
Opportunities to create your own legends in the world of Greyhawk.
That's a fantastic point.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that in D&D, the real adventure never truly ends.
I know, it's so true.
There's always another quest, another challenge, another story waiting to be told.
For sure.
And Borderwatch is a perfect example of how a well-crafted module can ignite the imagination
Yeah,
and inspire countless hours of tabletop fun.
absolutely.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, though, let's take a moment to remind our listeners
Okay.
about the fantastic resources available to them.
Yeah.
You can find a PDF copy of Borderwatch in the video description below.
Right.
And don't forget to check out our previous episodes over at the Trips 2012 YouTube channel,
Yeah.
where you'll find a treasure trove of Greyhawk PDFs and deep dives into other classic D&D modules.
Absolutely. It's a great resource.
And of course, a huge thank you to our producer Ken for all his hard work in finding these amazing modules
Yeah.
and keeping the show running smoothly. Ken, you're the best. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Greyhawk.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Keep those dice rolling, and may your adventures be filled with thrills, laughter, and unforgettable moments.
Yes.
Until next time, farewell from the deep dive.
Farewell, adventurers.